Guys, welcome to another episode of the Real Football Talk. Exciting start to the Premier League again. Adil, how did you find it? Good start.
Yeah, excellent start. Back into spending my whole weekend watching non-stop football.
Binging,
So, yeah, it's
yeah,
called binging football.
yeah. That's how it's been. Even though I had a busy week of like with weddings and stuff, but I still managed to somehow watch them, watch the matches. Oh man! Right, where do we begin? Let's begin with Liverpool versus Fulham, early kickoff on Saturday. What did you make of it? I mean, what a fantastic start from Fulham.
Yeah, it's an excellent game. Really liked the physicality, the bravery that Fulham brought, and I think it caught Liverpool off guard. And even when Liverpool tried to, what they do when they go behind or when they get dominate, they get physical and they start dominating the one-on-one battles, and you'll get Fabinho and everyone putting their weight in and strength in, and they kind of go all out attack even more. But Fulham just went toe to toe. First 15 minutes was all Fulham. Then Liverpool started to get back into it, but then there was still enough threat by Fulham every single time.
Yeah,
and it's like what we said, didn't it? I mean, we said, when you asked about the questions about Mitrovic, and we said that no, he has an more all-round game now that he's been played last season.
You know what? It really showed that. It really showed in this game because I mean, he was everywhere pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, he plays that false nine style now, which is what Fulham have been doing all of last year. So he drops deep, he allows others to get space, and just like he did for the first goal, I mean, it was on the left wing. He was way behind everyone.
And he literally put his hand up as he waited to just literally say,
as he's just on the edge of the box.
Yeah, just drop it in there. I've got it.
And that was a harder finish than it looked. I mean, to meet a header like that with the defender in front of you, to get the accuracy, power, everything right. It was a great cross from Teti, but just the whole build-up was really good build-up. And that's how the game was. I mean, they took the game to Liverpool. That midfield battle, they were all going in, loads of occasions. Fulham counter-pressed with 3 or 4 players.
Yeah.
So they kind of outdid Liverpool in their own game.
But do you know the other thing? I don't know if a lot of the time, because we usually when Liverpool press and like counter press, they win that ball back. But Mitrovic and the team, they were able to maintain that ball even under pressure. There's loads of times just like one-on-one, and they just managed to just hold the ball off and pass out wide, and then again, boom, they go on the attack again on the break. And
it just seemed like Liverpool weren't mentally ready for the intensity that Fulham were bringing, and I think they've gotten used to just when they kind of step it on, and this is the thing. I mean, everyone keeps going on around about the loss of money, but I still feel, and that will be a loss, but I still feel the biggest loss for Liverpool right now is actually the loss of Jota, because how many times last season did we see what we saw this year, where Liverpool actually start slow, the attitude doesn't seem quite right, but then always somehow Jota would get the goal.
Especially the first goal,
kind of against the run and play, or when it's 50-50. I wouldn't say all the time Liverpool were that slow that it was against the run and play, but it was like they were completely dominating, and Jota would get a poacher's goal, and then suddenly Liverpool would completely dominate the game. They'll get confidence, they'll step it on, and they'll go for the jugular. So I actually feel that they're missing that poacher. They're missing that guy who, even when Liverpool aren't quite starting as great or aren't quite dominating games, but you got the opposition, giving it their all, their first, home game in the Premiership of the season. The crowd's all excited. Everyone's up for it. Everyone in Fulham, the manager said, win the first 20 minutes, get stuck in. And how many times last season would they still go 1-0 down, even though they're kind of in the ascendance? This year, they haven't got that. Poacher started. So I think right now, when you look back at what happened last year, the loss of Jota is bigger than the loss of Mane. And that, I felt, we said it many times last year, how much against the random player, when it's an even game, Jota just pops up with the goal.
What I was going to say, not counter this, just for your point, can Nunes fill that gap? Obviously, when he came on, he straight away, got a chance. Obviously, great save in the first one. Then the second one, he managed to get it through. Can Nunes be that difference maker?
Yes, I mean, Nunes, and there's something you have to say different about the South American players that come from the Portuguese league. They're a breath of fresh air. It's like they were born for the Premiership. You look at the intensity Luis Diaz plays in, and Nunes. I just can't help but be impressed. But he's not. Defenders aren't looking for him. He's looking for defenders. He's like a Duncan Ferguson. He's searching them out. He's getting physical with them. I love the fight that he shows. If someone starts bumping him, he turns around and he's that proper sticks it to him. And you can see it. He's really enjoying the physical battle. He's really enjoying trying to dominate the centre backs. He's loving that. He's looking for it. And just the intensity he's bringing, he straight away is changing the dynamics of the game. And then his movement, and like we said, that, running in behind, the runs he makes, the way he creates space, he's so good at it. He's very intelligent. And yeah, I mean, if he had started, it would have been a totally different game, because the Fulham defenders couldn't handle him for 15 minutes. They wouldn't have handled him for 90 minutes.
Question comes straight away.
25 minutes.
Did Klopp get it wrong? Should Nunes have started, especially after the showing in the Community Shield?
I wouldn't say Klopp got it wrong. I would say Firmino let him down. Okay. It's not like Firmino's such a bad play. It's not like they can't win against Fulham against Firmino. It's just his performance as an attacking threat was terrible. Even off the board, he wasn't great. But you can't just single out Firmino for that, because the whole Liverpool team were getting dominated. They're losing the 50-50 battles. But the problem is when Firmino doesn't offer nothing else. And that's the problem. He doesn't offer, like with Nunes, he brought the fight. So he offered that. But also he brought the threat. He's making runs in behind. He's sitting in. So not only is he being physical and winning the direct balls and winning fouls and getting physical and tiring out the defenders, he's pressing like mad, which is what Firmino does. He's matching Firmino for work rate. But the biggest thing is he's actually a threat in behind.
Definitely.
So, even just before the goal he scored, he had that exact same flick.
Same chance.
An excellent save from Rodak. So, replica of the same move. So it tells you he has excellent awareness of how to create space, how to attack space.
Would you say Liverpool were a bit lucky with both goals? Because obviously, the first one, he kind of went off, what's his name? Of course, Adebayor, onto Thingy's heel. The second one, again, he tried controlling it, bounced off to Salah for a perfect tap in.
Yeah, I mean the way the goals got to the player and got in, there was an element of fortune to that, but it's also an element of that's the level where those are the fine margins where the slightly lower caliber players make those mistakes, as in Tosin Adebayor. Yeah, I don't think he knew where it's going, but it's unlucky, that one. But the second one from Ream, where he's just flicking the ball on when Tosin's got it in a better position, that's communication. Yeah. So it's those little things that makes defenders for Fulham rather than Liverpool, is that individual quality. So yeah, Liverpool are lucky, but they took the game. They're playing gun ho. They had players in the box. they done well in the way they created the opportunity. They done it twice. They done it just before that.
Yeah.
Using Elliot, sucking in the left
Elliot
back.
overlapped, isn't it? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So you got to credit the good football.
And
but
the changes Klopp made, isn't it? Because obviously Klopp brought in Elliot.
well, I think the biggest thing is Liverpool were lucky that Thiago Silva got injured. Because if he didn't get injured, they wouldn't have put Elliot and Nunes on that early. Let's be honest. We know how loyal Klopp is to Firmino. He would have given him at least another 10, 15 minutes. We saw in the Champions League final how late it took Klopp to make any changes because he's so loyal to his, first team and his starting players. So, by the time the goals came, Nunes had run those two defenders ragged. And probably because he came on 15 minutes earlier than he would have if Thiago never got injured.
Last one, Van Dijk, his performance, is there cause for concern or is just kind of still getting into full shape?
And this is why we're called the Real Football Talk, because how long ago have we been talking about how poor, everyone's going to jump on the bandwagon.
Matip has been saving the bacon, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, everyone's going to jump on the bandwagon now and say, Van Dijk looked leggy. He's been poor most of last season. And he's been off the pace since his injury. He hasn't really, a lot of times he hides. He doesn't really get stuck in. He doesn't cover as much. And it has been Matip filling in the gaps. Even in that game, the first 15, 20 minutes, it was Matip who's, the most impressive defender. He was the one stopping Fulham from scoring earlier.
Yeah.
The amount of last-ditch tackles, last-ditch reading, last-ditch clearances, sweeping up of other people's mistakes. It was Matip who was stopping Fulham from scoring earlier. So, I think because of what Van Dijk has done previously and how good he is, everyone just assumes he's on that level every time. He hasn't been for a long time.
Do you think because of that, a lot of players are afraid to kind of, pin him or go against him because of that stature that he had built?
I'm not sure because it seems like the goals are coming from his side. So it's not like players are or teams are attacking down his side. If you look at a lot of the chances of where the goals get scored, it's always in and around his side. It's always around that left side. It's left side or a mistake from Trent like that. That cross. I mean, the way he just ducked under it. Come on. I mean, I was surprised no one really made a bigger deal out of that. That was so soft.
I think you can't say that about the best right back in the Premier League.
In terms of attacking, fine.
But we can't keep saying in terms of attacking.
There's still a weakness in terms of putting your body on the line.
It still reminds me of that goal. Even the previous week, he completely turned away from the ball as if like the goal has already happened, but when the ball's still in play for Alvarez's goal.
Yeah, and I think that's the Liverpool system, isn't it? Their system, their midfielders cover for the flaws of other defenders or fullbacks, And that's the thing, the midfield ain't quite on it in that game. Certainly, they were second best.
How positive will this be for Fulham? Because if they keep performing, they really set the bar now, and they need to, if they keep performing like that, then they'll be well within a fight for.
Thing is, everyone talks like this every year, but the thing is, there's a reason why they're championship level players, and there's a reason why they're playing for Fulham, because they can't do it for 38 games. Yeah. They're not going to motivate. They're not going to be committed. They're, in some cases, their body ain't going to hold up to the rigors of playing intense like that. Yeah, first game of the season against Liverpool, atmospheric, Craven Cottage. Yeah, you might do it, but so yeah, at least in terms of self-belief, yeah, that should give them self-belief that they can mix it with the better teams. So they got nothing to fear against the better teams, the teams that play football, because they've definitely got a good pressing system and and the counter pressing. It's been a long time since I've seen a team counter press better than Liverpool. And Fulham did that. I mean, the amount of times, first 20 minutes, they won the ball high up the pitch. I've never seen a team do it as often to Liverpool as Fulham did in that first 20 minutes. So, they can take confidence. But again, they might be one of those teams that performs better and it's harder work for the teams playing, who like to play football. But as soon as it comes to most of the teams that play a bit more direct, a bit more physical, they might struggle. We don't know. There's a hint of that by seeing how Nunes was able to dominate them.
True. But
so again, every team poses different challenges. Exactly. It's a positive start. They deserve the 3 points.
Something they can build on, right? Something they can build on. So definitely. In terms of, let's look at, Liverpool's bitter rivals, Man United. First game for Ten Hag era, in the Premier League. What did you make of it?
Yeah, it was Groundhog Day, really. It's so disappointing because all the optimism, all the excitement literally vanished after 5 minutes. And the thing was, you can tell when it changed in the stadium, because what happened was they tried to play this football from the back. And every time Maguire got on it, he was struggling to get it out to anyone or find anyone. So then he'd start lumping it. Or he'd get it into, they'd get it into Fred, and Fred would misplace it. So straight away from kickoff, they had a chance. Poor pass from, Fred or someone. Then again, so what happened was, as soon as he done it again, where he gave it straight to the opposition, and he got away with it because he flew back, slid in, blocked the tackle.
Yeah.
But it's like the whole confidence in the stadium went, the whole buzz went, and then after that, you could just see the self-belief go. McTominay was hiding the whole way. He was marking the defensive midfielders. They weren't coming at him. He was marking them, and then Fred was trying to be brave, but his confidence was shot. He wasn't confident on the ball. And then
you also got to credit the Graham Potter system and the way he literally just kind of pretty much pushed everyone.
The thing is, what I would credit about Brighton was they went man for man.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Away from home. And that was really impressive. And I don't think Man United and Ten Hag were expecting a team to be that brave. And it could have, don't get me wrong, both teams were open. When Man United were confident on the ball, you could see so many half chances and opportunities.
Well, listen,
the right pass, if they had a little bit of patience, again, that's the thing that was the frustration, was all the old issues of last season came back. Just kicking the ball forward at every instant, even if there's no one making a run, they're doing Hollywood passes. Rashford was giving the ball away for fun. It wasn't Fernandes as much, funny enough, but definitely everyone else was. Even Eriksen was giving the ball away.
Would you say that miss was a big moment as well? Just to give the stadium...
the Fernandes one.
Yeah.
But every miss is a big moment when you're a fragile team, isn't it? But I think the biggest moment was when he misplaced that pass. Instead of, thinking, well, I got away with it, blocked attack. The whole stadium just lost confidence in Fred. It lost confidence in that midfield. You had McTominay suddenly panicking, thinking he's a winger. Every time trying to dribble out of trouble rather than just take a touch, pass out wide to your better players, pass out wide to Sancho and the wingers, and just play. It's not like, again, Brighton played very brave, man for man. It was easy to get the ball into Rashford and Sancho. It wasn't like they had a block in front of them.
No.
But for some reason, the midfielders, especially McTominay, just wanted to dribble, wanted to take on. So, and then obviously, and this is the thing we've criticized or questioned, I would say rather, the profile of players that Ten Hag is going for, because we've said he's going for players that he knows and they're technically good. But the biggest weakness of this team is they don't have legs. And we've said it many times. And if you look at the goals, it's a lack of legs. I mean, both teams lost ball in key positions. But when you look at the recovery runs of the Brighton players, how quickly they get back, how quickly they put in a tackle, how quickly their defenders sprint when they're out of position, when there's an overload. And you see the legs of the Man United players, you already got Maguire, who's super slow. Dalot, now you put Dalot in, that's added another slower player.
Yeah.
Because Wan-Bissaka is quicker.
Yeah.
And now there's no Varane, and Lisandro Martinez, I think, is slower than Lindelof. They certainly showed it for the first goal anyway.
Yeah.
So I just think they got a really slow back line, and then they got, other than Fred, they got no players with legs. And then they played a system, which was strange because they didn't do that whole of pre-season where the wingers and the strikers weren't getting back behind the ball. They were like, defenders defend. And so again, it's the same issues of last year, and that's what was so disappointing. Needless balls over the top, giving the ball away, not tracking back.
Do you think that's because of the confidence was shot? They just went back to the old football and forgot everything Ten Hag has probably said.
But it comes, at the end of the day, it comes down to your technique, innit?
Yeah.
Ultimately, if you are a confident player on the ball, then you would back that technique. But if you're not confident and you're trying to act confident, you're trying to show that you can take the ball under pressure, then when it comes to the pressure cooker, you will fail. And that's the difference. I think a lot of those players are trying to fit into Ten Hag's system and are deluding themselves into thinking they're good enough to play that way. And the reality is they're not. And the biggest problem United have is it looked okay in pre-season when McTominay was at the base and Fred was doing what Fred does. If you look at the 2 goals, Fred was at fault for a lot of it. Because as the defensive midfielder, why he's pressing proactively, reactively so late, and then letting, already when you got a number 10 to pick up, there's, why are you going to go press Salcedo?
Yeah.
When you got players in behind that's your man. Do you get it? So he's the one who's created the overload by panic and pressing. In that role, you got to play the position. So it worked when they let Fred do what Fred always does, which is sees man, sees ball, closes. He doesn't know anything else. and Fred and McTominay was the one dictating the play and playing. But then he got injured in pre-season and they tried Fred out. And because Fred is better on the ball and can use both, suddenly this idea came, if we don't get Frankie de Jong, we can train Fred up to be the next Frankie de Jong. Most ridiculous thing. So in a way, there are errors there, there are mistakes there. It is unnecessary, like Ten Hag said. They could, it probably would have worked better if they switched McTominay and Fred around like they did. And since they put Fred in that deep position, in pre-season they've drawn and they've lost, and then they've lost again in a competitive game. So before that, it was a lot more optimistic when they're playing McTominay there.
It's more secure, isn't it, in his defensive?
Well, he doesn't leave the position and forget to follow a man.
Yeah.
He doesn't ball watch. He doesn't get sucked into pressing all the time.
Yeah.
He has positional sense. He's not as good on the ball, but he's better at passing than McTominay. Than Fred. So and it's embarrassing they had to play Eriksen in the defensive mid position just to get anything going, any build-up play.
Yeah. Should what's his name, McTominay, be on the pitch?
I think everyone's making a deal out of that tackle. He got the ball first. Yep, the follow-through went slightly over the ankle, but there wasn't an actual proper follow through. He touched him. It wasn't like he went crunching into him. I think yellow card was fine.
Maybe he probably got away because he wasn't out of control. I think that's
knowing that, you know, the player was kind of slow, starting to pull his leg back away from the tackle. So yeah, if Salcedo went into it, maybe it would have looked worse, and then I would have said, yeah, that's a clear-cut red. But I think it was a yellow. Got the ball. You know, there's gonna, at the end of the day, I don't understand it as well. Like, if they don't tackle and they give the possession, everyone's gonna criticize them. It was clearly his ball to win. He won it so clearly that Salcedo didn't even make the tackle.
Yeah.
And there's a clash. At the end of the day, you know, people can't vanish from the pitch. There's a reason why people jump over tackles. You know, it's a contact sport. And I think people are making a bigger meal out of it than needs to be. I think yellow card was fine. I thought VAR got it right. It wasn't, you know, anything. At the end of the day, it's just because Carragher's making a big deal out of it on commentary that suddenly is. But if it was any other commentator who never said nothing, no one would be bringing it up. It's not even talking, you know. It's not one of those, ooh, that was so dirty, should have been a red.
What about
a clear yellow?
What about the penalty?
Penalty, that's clear cut penalty. I mean, I don't know how you can go into the back of someone and you know,
get away with it.
Stop them. Yeah, and was Welbeck playing for it? Yeah, he was.
Of course,
that's what strikers do.
Yeah.
You know, why should a defender be allowed to come in and basically, you know, shove you in the back? You know, shouldn't be allowed. So, and that's the thing with Mate. He gives away a lot of penalties. He panics when he makes mistakes. So for all the good that he'll do in terms of winning the ball high up and you know, in possession, he does panic. He's a bit too aggressive when things are going wrong.
Well, what do you make of his start, though? Good start, apart from that incident.
There's a lot of promising stuff to his game, but there's also errors there. Like I don't see the 57 million value, and I don't see why we were so desperate. I can see what he brings to the team. He's more of a leader. Like you see in the warm-up.
Oh, that's what I was going to mention to you. In the
warm-up,
he was leading it more than Maguire. I was surprised.
You know what?
This guy
I have to take it back from last week. You know what? Odegaard has more character than Maguire. Maguire is a bigger android robot than Odegaard.
Listen, I'm gonna make a short of that and put it
out. Please do. I'm happy to have that guy. That's how, you know, this Maguire character is scared to do anything or say, you know, even in the tunnel. Yeah, they're on the wrong side. And Brighton have got. He's too scared to say anything. Guess who's the one telling him? De Gea. De Gea's telling them. I don't think even in the tunnel just before they're running out, yeah. You look around, who's Gene after team? Yeah? It's Fred. Fred's Gene after team. Even in the warm-up on the pitch, it's Martinez shouting, putting intensity.
No, basically, you know, when they were doing that headering drill, I was trying to see what Martinez does and it's just him like, yeah, push up or this. I was just like, what's Maguire doing then?
Yeah, Maguire. I just think, you know, he's feeling the pressure of his own form, of the scrutiny, and he's what it is he's excellent in the media, but whether he's actually got that squad under control, whether he's got that intensity, that winning mentality, that edge, that character, and you can tell he doesn't, because at the end of the day, he came in last year and let Ronaldo run the show in behind the scenes, you know. So it just tells you he's not really capturing the team.
As Ten Hag, you should just give it to Ronaldo, or someone else then.
Well, he can't give it to Ronaldo because, you know, he does everything for himself. But there are other characters. There are other characters who clearly show more fight and determination, and, you know, the characteristics needed. But, you know, that's the mistake they've made, isn't it? And it's reality check from everyone. You know, you think people like Dalot and Fred and McTominay and, you know, Maguire even, that you want to give these guys chance, even Rashford, even Fernandez. Again, another game where he really doesn't do much. There's a few times he done these stupid flicks that went nowhere, and it's like, really, and again, even though he wasn't doing those histories, sometimes he plays for the foul more than just plays the game. So yeah, there's problems there. The idea of false nine with Ericsson, it clearly didn't work. So there's a lot. But I one thing I would say is I was really happy with the fact that that Ten Hag identified the problems and actually took the right people off.
Yeah,
he took Fred off. Fred was the problem. He didn't know how to hold that position. Kept pressing at the wrong time, creating the overloads. And things that I was really happy he made that change.
He put Ericsson in there, he was moving that ball around, wasn't he?
So he's put and even everything he said since, everything he said, it is a case of the organization of the ball. It is a case of belief, the self-confidence went. It is. So we've gotten used to hearing Man United managers, really papering over the cracks and not being able to assess technically and tactically what the real problems were. And that's why the media ends up having a field day in picking up players. But with Ten Hag, I was encouraged by the fact that at least he can analyze what he's watching in front of him and say the right things. Obviously you hope he can actually fix it.
I'm sure they'll change. Obviously,
but you have to give credit to Salcedo, Welbeck. Welbeck's performance was amazing,
outstanding.
And I just think, they tactically switched up. They played direct. They played into the space. It's not what Man United were prepared for. But this is the thing: you should be prepared for everything. You should be prepared for every style.
Well done, Brighton. I know what I said last week, but.
Yeah, I said that. I did say at the time that one will come back to regret.
First game of the season. Chill out.
But I'm telling you, you will regret that one the whole season.
What's there to regret? There's nothing to regret.
Yeah, just because I'm sure I might cut up some memes as well and put them out there.
Yeah. Let's see that.
Always back a good manager.
Let's move on. Arsenal. 2-0 win against Crystal Palace, first game of the Premier League. What did you make of them? I mean, Crystal Palace really came back in the game.
I think the first 20 minutes was exhilarating.
Yeah,
it was like watching the old Arsenal in their prime, Brazil in their prime. It was fantasy football. Gabriel Jesus was absolute joy to watch. Exciting. He just showing what an immense talent he really is. The things he was doing, I mean, the way he was
some those plans and stuff is just mad.
Yeah, so that first 20 minutes were good. But after that, I actually didn't feel they were good. No. And I actually don't feel everyone's probably praising Arsenal more than they should. Because I think, fine, it's good they showed the competitive side, they showed the resilience, and fine, Crystal Palace, they're not an easy team to play against. They kind of did dominate the game after that. But also you could see this is a Crystal Palace team that lacked sharpness, and they were still able to create some clear-cut chances, more clear-cut chances than the ones that Arsenal were able to create. So I just still feel like, okay, there are question marks still there. Why was it that after 20 minutes we just there? And I still have question marks over their midfield. Like Partey was non-existent the whole match. Xhaka was, as usual, quite good in attacking off the ball, erratic. No surprises. He got the first yellow card of the season. Play acting, but the diving.
Yes, the funny thing is, it happened on both ends, and then Xhaka got both. It was just coming. He's gonna come.
Yeah, he's got a reputation in it.
The referee saw Xhaka. I was like, he's like, I'm gonna book him.
All right, yeah. Now, there's something I know I'm gonna disagree with you on.
Go on.
I actually thought that first 20 minutes, Gabriel Jesus was obviously amazing. But the other player that really impressed me in that time, in that first half especially, was actually Odegaard. Some of the first touch football he was playing.
No, that's fine.
Was really clever, really intelligent, really good awareness.
I'm not disputing that. What
was creating the
what irritated
football.
What irritated me is some of the big situations. You're the captain. Some of the big situations is passing the back on. Like even if you look at that 1-on-1, why is he even trying to pass that?
Yeah, obviously you can criticize that. I mean, that's Gabriel Jesus put it on a plate to hit it first time. Why take a touch? Why even look to pass?
Exactly. Have a bit of belief about yourself and freaking finish it.
But there were times in that second half where he was shying at the players to press.
No, but that's all fine. But there was a lot of times where, like me personally, yes, do that one touch. Yeah, it's neat when you do it in the front. But sometimes you also gotta hold that ball and just beat that pressure or beat that man. Or he just kept passing the first time, just flicking it. It's like,
I don't know. I find it like he must be one of the most frustrating players to play with, because when you don't expect him to play first time, he plays first time. Exactly. And when you expect him to play first time, he takes 5 touches and goes square. So I wouldn't say he was doing first time order. He was actually slowing down the game a lot. But at the wrong times, at the times when the guys clean through, he's just sending the pass.
Yeah.
But then in the build-up, sometimes he's going first time, and luckily, because he had intelligent players, good reactive players around him, they were able to adjust to it. They can play to that higher level. But there were other times where, all right, is this the way we're playing? And they've made the run and he's not sent it. And
I don't know.
Good.
Listen.
Yeah. But the one touch stuff was part of that first 20 minutes of accelerating football. I would say he was a huge part of that alongside Gabriel Jesus. That's all I'm saying. But
do you know what?
After that, does he slow the play down? Is he frustrated?
Do you know, like in a place like that, like especially if you're the main guy and if you're going to be the guy that controls and dictates the tempo of the team, you gotta be able to handle them. I just don't see him being one of those people that can handle the ball under that pressure, man. I just don't think.
I don't know. I think you could criticize the shot he didn't take, but.
Not 1, 3.
That first half, I was impressed with his performance. The first half, anyway.
Yeah.
And I think, that first half had optimism. That second half had question marks, and lucky they had Saliba on the pitch.
Yeah, that's going to be my next question. What did you make of Saliba's long-awaited debut?
Yeah, he just seems like a better version of Rafa Varane in his prime. He sweeps all the time. He's got the pace. His tackling is impeccable. He's sweeping everyone across the back of four.
Yeah.
The one where he came all the way across and blocked a shot on the right hand side.
On Zaha, and when he beat Ben White.
So he's covering for everyone, and I thought he's really good. I can see problems with the fact that he drops off and sweeps so much, because the better teams will expose the fact that Arsenal can't really play a high line offside because Saliba's always sweeping. So I can see better teams pretending to, play the long ball over the top on Saliba's side and then reversing it in behind Gabriel. And the player running. Like, can you imagine against Liverpool, Van Dijk showing that he's going to play into Diaz, so then Saliba is going to go back, and then they play it right in behind for Salah to run in. He'll be clean through, and he won't be offside because Saliba is 5 yards behind everyone.
Yeah, but what I would also say is he's 21 and he's going to make mistake, and he's got that time to kind of learn, isn't it?
Teams have to expose that, isn't it? So they're kind of just putting that coach's hat on and saying. Yeah. Excellent. Takes nothing away. At the end of the day, the Saliba definitely deserved man of the match, and can't take nothing away from the performance. I mean, he was the reason. Him and Ramsdale, recovered.
He made a great save. Yeah, But he was part of the fault as well. Because of him, he kind of gave them that belief with that silly little mistakes.
Well, he gave the crowd the belief, and then
Exactly. But that's the worst thing you can do at a place like Palace, because that's what they want, isn't it? That's what they live off. And then they start getting little fouls, and boom, they're in it.
Yeah, and I just think there's positives in Arsenal, but there's things to be concerned about as well.
Yeah, a long way to go. I mean, like I said, I still think we need a couple more players for us to even get to anywhere near.
I think everyone does at the moment.
Yeah. Right, let's move on from Arsenal. Let's move over to Tottenham Hotspur. 4-1, impressive win. I mean, Son, Harry Kane didn't even get onto the score sheet. That's how impressive it was.
Yeah, and the thing is, Conte is building something big there, because he made sure he mentioned that to the press. He made sure he mentioned that it's good for our self-belief. It's self-belief of the squad to be able to make, know they can win a game without having to rely on. And so what he's just building a mentality and a belief system with all the players. And what I really liked was a good goal from Ward-Prowse, straight off the traps, at the traps, they went and, scored. But just the way Tottenham handled that, going a goal behind, they just stepped up the play, played calm, dominated, and just, were just prodding and probing and picking off. And then eventually Kulusevski, picks out Sessegnon. It's just the manner in which they're doing it. It's scary, because they're just showing a mentality that they've never shown before.
But also they also kind of made it look quite easy as well. Some of the plays, like obviously, of course, it wasn't easy, but yeah, it just like literally just completely opened them up, opened the opposition up. You could say
Southampton are like that, don't they? They'll attack you, and then they'll also
give you chances.
They'll open up, they'll play open football, give you, So, but you have to be impressed with the mentality of the Spurs players. They were calm, they looked deadly, they played good football. They had so many chances, other chances. Bazuna had a good game. He's done plenty of saves.
Yeah.
So it could have been a lot worse. Could have been a lot more. The amount of goals Tottenham scored. So yeah, impressive, really impressive. They look primed and ready. They look ready for a charge.
Big game coming up already this weekend against Chelsea. So
yeah, and I like the way they're already approaching it. Like Lloris has already come out and said it's a good time to see where we're at compared to the big boys. They're already seeing it as a chance. They look up for it. So
at Chelsea is the question, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Chelsea do what Chelsea do. Is a ball fest. That was the one game I was watching, and I was like, this feels like torture to watch this game.
You know what? It had to be a penalty that wins the game. I was like, oh.
Yeah, but it was just, you got every game is like exciting. And then you got a Chelsea game, which is just like so much good stuff happening in the middle of the park. And then nothing exciting when it comes to the attacking areas of the pitch. You get it, and it's just, it's kind of boring. And the one thing I did notice was just as electric as Gabriel Jesus was in that first 45 minutes, I thought Sterling was just as electric for Chelsea. I mean, and that shows you the difference in the caliber of Man City and the way they're training their players, because they're not going to clubs without good players or without, they're not going to completely substandard clubs, especially when it comes to Sterling and Chelsea. Arsenal, you could say, they're going to rebuild. They haven't really got major superstars there. So Gabriel Jesus would stand out. But to stand out couple of levels above the players there. That's something. And Sterling looked head and shoulders, like, skill-wise, he looked better than ever. Technique-wise, his first touch, accuracy of passing, dribbling, flair, creativity. In every area, he just looks light years ahead of anyone else on that pitch, any of his teammates. And that says a lot about Pep and the training they do, because with Klopp, you always think it's the system. The system is what makes the players. That's why some of the players, they go with Ronaldo, does nothing. Lallana does nothing. It's the system that makes them look so good. But with Pep, he's improving you individually to such a level that wherever you go, you just look like the standout player.
Yeah.
And you can see that already.
Perhaps it's not just about the system. Obviously, for you to play that system, you need to be good.
Yeah, but there's so much emphasis on being technically and individually so good.
Yeah.
There's so much emphasis on that. And they're taking that mentality, they're taking that superior ability to the clubs they're going to. And the only real threat and excitement of note from Chelsea came whenever Sterling was on the board.
I mean, that's.
Pulisic came on, and I thought he looked really sharp. He looked really good.
But that's the thing. Are we going to get a full season out of Pulisic because he just keeps?
But he's not going to get enough game time. He's not going to be favoured as much. He's not going to play that often, with rotation. Because at the end of the day, whoever they get as the striker, that's it'll be Havertz is the preferred guy until they get a recognised striker. Matt is always in the team, so you got everyone else fighting out for the second that second number 10 spot.
Well, that's going to be.
So Pulisic ain't going to get it regularly enough. There's going to be Ziyech, there's going to be whoever else they signed. Most of the time it's going to be Sterling. So I don't think he's going to get the minutes that he probably wants. But he looked sharp. He looked good when he came on. But Everton, surprisingly, kind of looked more of the threat in that second half. And they played quite well.
And I mean, they pretty much played without a striker as well, isn't it? So
had 2 defensive injuries in the game.
Exactly.
So
massive one on Godfrey. I think we wish him the best.
Yeah, again, comes from his own poor defending and then rushing back and tackling back. Even in that, what was Havertz doing? It's like watching a guy in slow-mo, man. It's like, how much more time do you want to pick
there isn't another
in the box? Just give him the ball.
Yeah, he plays at that motion.
Yeah, but mate, if we thought Berbatov played slow, have a look at Havertz now. That's something else. Didn't think we'd find anyone slower than Berbatov when it comes to attacking.
So what you're saying, Havertz is the new Dimitar Berbatov, yeah?
Nah, just in that one play. Let's not get to Havertz as a quality player, but that in that moment, he definitely brought back memories of Berbatov play.
Oh man! Right, let's move on. I mean, Man City, Erling Haaland, all that talk about his miss and how he was gonna fit in, and then he gets 2 goals. That's just like everyone was crying out for in the previous game.
I just thought it's all predictable, isn't it? It's all predictable. We said it before, had that West Ham were gonna sit and just be defensive and let basically Man City do whatever they want, and so much of that game just felt inevitable because West Ham just gave in,
waiting for it to happen.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I'll say, and this is when Man United are in real trouble. Right now, Walker and Cancelo are better midfielders than anything United have. Certainly better than the way they were dictating the game in midfield. The fullbacks we're talking about. When they're talking about backup centre midfielders, we're talking about fullback.
I think Cancelo pretty much played as a left centre mid. He literally played as a left centre
mid. No, that was the tactic, and that's again. you'll see new variations. So you got United playing a system where one of the fullbacks comes into midfield. And now you got Man City playing a system where both fullbacks are coming in. So you got a 2 centre backs and a 3 midfield shielding against, and you know, you got everyone else attacking. And with what United and other variations, it depends who they do it, but basically the other teams or all the teams, big teams last year would do with their boxing out 2 centre backs, 2 centre mids, and both fullbacks going
out wide. Yeah,
that Man City is stepping it up. Man City is saying, no, we're going to go with the 3 there to dominate possession.
But
and
also,
sometimes
it's not just that; it also makes you more secure, right? It's kind of like within that, like the diamond or whatever, they can win that ball back anywhere that drops it in because they got so many.
But also, what's happening is you're spreading out the opposition the midfielder, so it allows you to go wider quicker. It allows you to have your wingers up there, because what was happening was last year the innovation was all the outside wingers were coming in as 10s, and then the fullbacks are creating the width. Now Man City's found a different variation where they effectively saying to Foden and Grealish, your wing backs, but you're already high up the pitch, and the cover is with the fullback. So it's interesting, and at the end of the day, you have to just rate. You know, there's not many teams that can train and their fullbacks to be comfortable against a team that finished 7th and I think the season before 5th. You know, so they're not a joke of a team. They're a good team, and there's not many teams that can train their fullbacks to play centre mid that competently under pressure, keeping the ball. You know, Walker was doing, you know, thought he was Xavi, he's doing pirouettes and, you know, tiki-taka passes, and, you know, and you have to rate them. You have to rate.
I'm glad Gundogan played, because you know what? Because we all thought Bernardo Silva's going to, but look, you see the difference he makes within that team. I love Gundogan as a player. You know, he's a dream to watch.
Yeah, I mean, to say the truth, he in that first half, he was probably the stoppiest player on the pitch from the Man City players. I mean, he kept giving the ball away. He had some of his, you know, he gave a couple of chances away where he just, you know, his first time passing was a bit off key. But certainly in terms of his intelligence in the, you know, timing of runs and attacking spaces and committing players and the quick footwork. I mean, the quick footwork, the way he straightens up the defender and then takes a touch and plays the through ball in for Haaland. It's just, you know, it's minute details, but that is what is stopping Johnson from tracking the run of Haaland, is because he straightened you up first. So he's making you think he's facing you. He might run at you, and then he takes a touch and then quick release, you know, for Haaland. So it's just.
But you know what? I actually thought the keeper's going to get the ball, but I was just surprised by Haaland's speed. I actually thought, I was like, oh, keeper's probably going to get it, and then boom, he nicks it off. I'm like, wow. Okay.
But when you actually watch it, it's like a horse galloping.
Yeah.
At full speed. It's like a gallop, man. I've never seen a guy running with his legs out in front of him that much. Like, it was like a horse galloping, man. It's scary. That first 20 yards, 15, 20 yards, he's eating up. Must be, you know, his explosive acceleration.
And strong, man.
Wow. I mean,
even for the second goal, he didn't even take a touch. He just, the way he positioned.
But that's what tells you how much quality he has in it. Right. A good striker doesn't need to take a touch.
Yeah. He just opened up, let him through his leg, and just like, bam. Like, wow.
Yeah.
And that's the same ball. That's the same ball that they could have done in the previous game where De Bruyne had a similar situation. He didn't play.
Yeah, and you can see, but what happened was by the end of the first, because for the first 35 minutes, you could see Haaland getting frustrated.
Yeah, he did drop a bit deep, yeah.
And then just before he got the goal, he started to understand, because I could see the players kept saying to him to calm down, chill out. You know, they kept telling him because he's getting frustrated. The ball ain't getting played. The ball ain't getting played. And so he did. And that's the thing. the thing that maybe he doesn't get credit for is how much of a team player he is, how humble he really is. Because a big player like him wouldn't necessarily listen
Yeah,
to the other players. It's not like the leader of the team. It's anyone and everyone who's just telling him chill
yeah,
out. And he started to just hang back a bit more. And and you see that for the first penalty. Normally he would spin it off way before that. No, he's looking to link. He's hanging off a bit more, waiting, and then going. So already you can see his natural football intelligence that during the course of the game he understood the timing difference.
definitely. What a penalty as well, isn't it?
Yeah, confident.
Did not look like he was gonna miss.
Yeah,
Right
yeah.
into the side netting. What do you think of City? I mean, especially after that start, they look like they're going.
I thought West Ham played into their hands. I think West Ham, yeah, it's fair enough. You could say, look what happened soon as they opened up a bit.
Yeah.
But by then, it was like a bit desperate the way West Ham were attacking. It was a bit gun-ho, loads of players committed to, running forward and attacking. And, you could see that there's no way Rice could cover every attacking midfielder to get it. So, yeah, I think it's a bit reckless, a bit but they're the centre backs. When you play in that system, they're too passive. You're playing 5 at the back, and it's so passive. Like any one of them could have come out and picked up De Bruyne. They didn't have to wait for Rice to try and come across. Any one of this, you don't need to set back.
Yeah.
So I think that West Ham, innit? They played to a game plan. It didn't work. I think it played into City's hand.
Yeah.
But look, it's like with anything, innit? City are looking good. A lot of the big teams are looking good right now.
Any other results stick out to you?
I don't know. I mean, I thought Newcastle looked really good. They dominated that game from beginning to end. I was quite surprised at how poor Nottingham Forest were. They gave the ball away, played long ball. They looked really unfit, and up until Newcastle scored, it looked like one of those games where Newcastle will regret not having better attackers because they just completely dominated without having.
Great finish from Callum Wilson, though. That second goal.
That was a great finish, and also by Fabian Schär. What a finish that was from a centre back.
Rocky, goal of the week, probably, definitely.
One of those ones. So 2 good goals, 2 great finishes, and Newcastle looked really good. I mean,
were you surprised by Aston Villa? We know you can say that.
We said it. We said it. They're going to be the disappointment because again, I watched them in pre-season, and I don't believe that's winning football. Just being more physical than the opposition. They're playing League 2, innit, if that's your tactic. You get it? Like, there has to be something more where you're actually playing creative, expansive football. You've got quality attacking players. And I just think, mentality is the most important thing, but you also need to have a structure that's going to create chances. Mentality will only take you so far. And I wasn't surprised by the result. I wasn't surprised they didn't really create anything. I wasn't surprised all the shots were outside of the goals, outside of the box, because that's what they showed in pre-season and the back end of last season.
It just doesn't seem like there's any ideas when they get into the final third. That's what it seems like. It's all pretty basic from the back, and then don't have ideas. You wouldn't expect that considering some of the small players that they have, like Tino.
Yeah, but one thing you see when you watch managers is start of the season they show their cards. They'll show what's their real lineup. Maybe pre-season they disguise it, but that first game they end up showing it. Because why? They understand the importance of building a base, building confidence within those players that they know I'm the starter.
Yeah.
So Ten Hag, he straight away threw in Ericsson and Martinez. Why? He wants them to know you're my starter. There's no question mark. You know, everyone else is putting their first team out. What does Gerrard do? He takes Watkins on the bench. You know, so what does again? It just seems that he doesn't know what his strongest lineup is.
Yeah.
That's the first game of the season, and now what are you telling me? Ings is your preferred striker over Watkins? We know that ain't the case. So I just sometimes, you know, you can overcook the whole idea of form and fitness. Well, just play your best team and build that confidence and build that trust, you know. And I don't know, he's like a FIFA manager, and he's all about formations. To solve a problem, he's changing the system, not actually introducing a gameplay or style of play that's going to create chances. You got Coutinho, they went out their way to buy Coutinho, I don't know what for. He's marked out of every game, and there's no structure in how to create space for him.
That's what teams are going to do, right? They're going to pick out these players and they're just going to mark him out of the game. And if he's going to be their main thinker, man, then that's what they're going to do. They're just going to put someone on him.
But they're not doing anything to create space for him. They're not playing a brand of football that's going to allow a continuous skill sets to come out. Not at the moment, anyway. And I think maybe the loss of Michael Beale is being shown now in it because he's very much that Brazilian side tiki-taka type of coach. You know, he ran his own Brazilian soccer schools for many years. And you can see with the way QPR trying to play, they're going to try and play, you know, and with Critchley, he's more of an organized manager. So I don't know. Their team that, again, nothing really surprised me. Did it surprise you that Jesse Marsch and Bruno Lage were having a falling out on the touchline? You could just tell that Jesse Marsch is just he's heavy rock.
Listen, he's a good character though. He brings some.
He's heavy rock metal, man.
Yeah,
he's just
he brings a different character to the Premier League.
Yeah. So he's gonna be he's gonna be a fun. He's gonna give us entertainment.
He just says stuff as it is, doesn't care, no filter, no nothing, just says it. I like that.
And we'll kick off with everyone and then because he's American and he doesn't follow rules. He doesn't understand British culture.
Would you like?
I like it.
None of this cup of tea and stuff, man. No,
I like it. I like it. Yeah, kicked off with Bruno Lage, got him upset. You know.
Oh,
it's good.
Oh well. I mean, it's been a brilliant week, hasn't it? Glad football.
Yeah, just glad that it started. The season started, and you know,
37 more games to go.
Yeah, and yeah, I'm still looking forward to it because again, everyone always overanalyzes the first weekend.
I think there's not too much to read into. Obviously, you see how. Where the people are at different stages and so on and so forth, but first game week you don't really. I think you need about 5 to 10 games until you can really tell the shape of where. I still feel you know a lot's going to happen. It's not you know it's not going to be like everyone's prediction already. Man City's won the league already after the first. I think there's going to be. I mean, I would be surprised anyone to say that the Man City's already won the league. Yeah, but everyone's just already starting to, you know, Liverpool have lost, drawn points. Just overreactions, but I still think a lot's going to happen, a lot's still to happen. Yeah. So it's interesting. Definitely. Anyways, Adu, thank you. And thank you for all our viewers that's been watching. Make sure you please like, share, subscribe, and we will see. Thank you for the prediction. Oh, yeah. Thank you everyone for the predictions. For predictions. We've definitely... I'll put a poll out on our Instagram with the results of who we think from our viewers going to win the league, etc. Thank you, everyone.